Good morning, Rotarians from Batavia Rotary. It's good to see everybody here. Everybody on Zoom. We got Bill Shula, Harry, many other folks here. So great turnout. We'd like to start as we traditionally do with our invocation, and Vic has generously offered to say a prayer.
Okay, all right. Our Father in heaven, we come before you very, very thankful for another day of life. Every breath we have comes from you, and we're very grateful for every opportunity. We're grateful for the Rotary Club, which gives inspiration and air that we can produce to help this world. Our Father in heaven, we are very grateful for the speakers today. We're grateful for the participation. We're thankful for all those who are online for another wonderful Rotary meeting. So we thank you for it, give you praise and thanksgiving for it. In Jesus Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Aaron, will you lead us in the pledge, please?
To the flag of the United States of America and to the
republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible,
liberty and justice for all.
All right, it's great to see everybody here. We're going to do something a little bit different. We got to be flexible. Our guest speaker is Bill Sklarva from Harmony Hill Vineyard, and as everybody probably knows, we're going to have an outing, a social at Harmony Hill on August 21st, Saturday. And we've already got about 12 folks signed up. We've got 31 members. So hopefully we're going to get a substantial number of more people that want to sign up for that. It should be a lot of fun. Before we introduce Bill here, I'd just like to recognize our guests that we have. We've got Jeff Birch here is prospective new member. Jeff was at our Union Township concert series. We met him there. Jeff, I think, did you work for Cincinnati Financial or Cincinnati Insurance?
It's one and the same.
Okay, one and the same. Right. Okay, and he's just recently retired, lives right around the corner here at a Fisher development. And he said, hey, this fits into my schedule. Very service-oriented individual. So Jeff is here to check us out. So we're really glad to have you here. Thank you very much. So Jeff, would you like to tell us anything else about yourself?
Just moved over, grew up on the west side of town, and then 25 years in Liberty Township, Westchester area. Kids went to Dakota West over there. And then they both married east side individuals, and so we moved to, Mama says we're moving closer to the grandkids.
Yeah,
so
now
we have Sunday night dinners at the house there, and it works out really well. My brother-in-law and sister-in-law lived over this way too.
Well, John was a West Sider until he married me.
Oh, there you go.
Yes.
I still have to show my badge when I cross.
Yeah, you're gonna love it.
I need passport.
Yeah.
Penetrating the sauerkraut curtain is not. I'd like to introduce everyone to Bob Henry.
Hi.
Oh,
Nice to meet everybody.
Bob Henry attended the concert series.
Yes.
And he filled out one of the entries for a drawing for $50 gift certificate, right? And he's here to pick it up today. See what Rotary's about.
See what it's all about.
So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, without any further ado, I'll introduce Bill Sklarva. Bill is a wine producer out in Bethel, Ohio. He'll tell you all about himself. But curious thing about Bill, I was playing golf the other day in this group that I just joined just a month or so ago. And I was playing in the same cart with a guy named Sterling. And we were just doing some small talk. And I said, oh, tonight, by the way, I'm going to this really neat winery out in Bethel, Ohio. And he goes, oh, is that Bill Sklarva's winery? And I'm like, he says, I used to work with Bill about 30 or 40 years ago. I don't know.
40 years ago.
Yeah.
40 years ago.
So just a small world. You were both in the radiology field at that time?
We were, right.
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
We we co-ran the CT unit at Children's Hospital back then.
I'm surprised he even remembered that.
How could they forget you?
Yeah, that's right.
I'm not going to go into any more details, any more dirt, okay?
Need
But-
no more dirt. No.
All right,
This
Bill.
crowd doesn't need to hear the rest of the story.
That's right. That's right. You got the floor.
So thank you, everybody, for inviting me over here. My name is Bill Stavarla, and
My apologies. I need you to stand behind the lectern.
I feel bad. You know, Zoomers, man, I'm a mover and a shaker. I have difficulty standing in one spot.
Sorry about that.
I will do my best, but if you see me kind of doing this, just bear with me. So anyways, let's start this way. How many of you have heard of Harmony Hill before? Okay, how many have actually been to Harmony Hill Vineyards before? Okay, see, that's an issue. That's an issue for me. We don't advertise a lot, and let me just back up, and I'll give you some idea of how Harmony Hill came to be. It's funny because the West Siders were. I moved from the West Side. I was in Delhi. My wife and I, our first home we bought was in Delhi, and in behind Delfair Shopping Center, and it had a little, I don't know, half-acre lot, I guess, and we kind of got in the habit of getting kicked out of the state parks. We had golden retrievers at the time. We got in the habit of getting kicked out of state parks in the winter because we would let our golden retrievers off leash, not a soul around, but never failed. The ranger would come and bust us. So we made the decision back in let me think, that was 1989, to go ahead and buy some property. So we bought a little piece of land out here in Bethel. It had a small home and a little lake beside it, and we could go ahead and let the dogs run. And anyways, that little 5-6 acre plot that we bought now has turned into about 71 acres that we have over there at the farm. It works out real well for my dogs, but it also works out real well for us. To give you an idea of where we started with Harmony Hill, when we first moved there, my dogs got along with the geese, and the cats got along with the dogs, and so we named the farm. We figured everybody got along in harmony, and so we named the farm Harmony Hill. Well, since then, it has turned into a lot different meaning of harmony, and I'll explain that in a minute. But what we did when we first moved out there to keep the little farm and agriculture and take advantage of course, the tax breaks, and that's what you get with that, with agriculture. We grew some hay for a while. We boarded some horses for a while. We were actually a medicinal herb farm. We grew legal medicinal herbs back before we decided to diversify the farm and start planting some vines. Our original intention when we planted the vineyards, and actually this past May, 20 years ago was when my wife and I planted the vineyards. So the vineyards are 20 years old. We decided in 2003 to take it to the next step, do some value-added stuff. Excuse me for just a minute. I'm not much of a speaker. Do some value-added stuff with the grapes. Our original intention was just to plant the vineyards, grow the grapes, sell the wine grapes to local wineries. 2003, we decided after making amateur wine for probably 12 years, and we began to win amateur awards for enter our wines in a competition and enter both local and international amateur awards. We started to win a lot of medals. So my wife said, maybe we ought to take it to the next step. So we moved the horses and we moved the donkeys out of the barn that eventually became the winery in 2003. And we ended up bonding the winery then, Ohio Winery number 400 in October of 2003. Now, since then, well, the very first year we started out with about, oh my goodness, I think 150 cases total production. We're now up to about 12 or 1,300 cases a year, which is, so I don't know, 12, 13,000. I think we figured it out, 14,000 bottles is what we produce now. Everything is done on site. So the farm is what is called an estate winery, which means we grow the grapes there. Those grapes are processed on site. The wine is made there. It's bottled, labeled, capsuled. Everything that it is, everything about that bottle of wine is produced right there at our site, at our farm. So that's what they refer to as an estate winery. Since that time, we have not only grown in production, but we have also grown in our venue actually now has turned into a picnic venue. We don't serve food. We're only open on Fridays and Saturdays. Fridays are 5 to 9. Saturdays are 2 to 9. And we have live musical entertainment every time we're open. We get some of the best bands in Southwest Ohio. The Hill Center stage has actually turned into one of the, I don't know, most sought after music venues in the tri-state. And we're now drawing bands in from out of state. We just 2 weeks ago had a trio from St. Cloud, Minnesota come in and play, rock the house. But it's a lot of fun. It's a great night out because the wines are, the majority of the wines are right around $14 a bottle. I make everything from dry whites through dry reds into semi-sweets and then into the dessert wines. So I make a little bit of everything. And I think that helps to fill out the palate for the winery so that the more advanced wine drinkers can take advantage of what I make. And the ones that aren't so advanced also are easily able to find something that excites their palate, put it that way. And I want to back up for just a second because I think it's important for you all to know that probably the 2 worst months of my life was getting the winery bonded. Tate Township is dry. I don't know if you all knew that, but Tate Township, where we have the winery, it's dry. So not only were we dealing with the Division of Liquor Control, the feds, the environmental people, because of the fact that we don't have sewage up to the winery. We had to put in holding tanks and stuff for winery wastewater, winery solid. I had to submit a plan for solid waste for the winery. And between all of those, about 7 or 8 different organizations, plus the people in Bethel that were very much against what we were doing because, we had people sending us emails about, the demon liquid that we were producing on our, I mean, it was pretty crazy. I mean, it really kind of sad. But that was pretty much the worst 2 months of my life. But we finally got it bonded in 2003. So it's been downhill ever since. No, I kid. I don't have too much time to talk, and I know that there were going to be some questions about the Asian longhorn beetle as well, which was discovered on my farm by me. And I want you to know that if at any point, it's certainly not a formal lecture. So if at any point you have a question for me, just yell it out. Okay. Now the Asian longhorn beetle, what time is it?
Was it? You got.
Oh, there we go. I got time. Okay. So the Asian longhorn beetle, oh man,
Okay,
Brandon, you're getting me.
you can dance a little if you want.
I can.
Not about 3 feet either direction.
Okay, good. Yeah. Just keep moving that.
Yeah.
Just
relax,
keep moving that.
relax.
Well, I had a couple things that I wanted to show the folks. So Back in 2011. Oh, first of all, is there any questions about the winery and about what the winery is about? So we're a picnic venue. We don't serve food. We encourage you to bring your own instead. With a range of prices averaging around $14 a bottle for our wines, it makes for a really inexpensive night out. You bring your own food. People bring Thursday's leftovers if they want on a Friday night. Have a nice glass of wine, listen to some really nice music. Okay.
Yes, it's a fun night. My wife and I, we met with some other people there. We had a very nice time there.
Well, good. Thank you. I need those endorsements. Yeah, we have to reach out to the people that haven't. We have to reach out to the people that know about the winery but haven't been there yet. And you know, the other thing that's interesting is we don't press people to. I mean, you don't have to buy wine. You know, we have soft drinks as well. We have bottled water as well. There are people that are absolutely non-alcoholic, and they'll come out and just listen to music, kick back, maybe bring some friends that do drink wine. That's helpful. Okay, so then let me talk for a minute about the Asian longhorn beetle. How many are familiar with the Asian longhorn beetle? Okay. Back in I was heading out.
Give it a shot.
Back in 2011, we had actually three beautiful red maple trees in my front yard. My front yard is fairly large. I mean, I think there's about probably six acres of grass in my front yard. So it's fairly large. And we're really crazy. If you do come to the winery, take note of the landscaping, because we do that all ourselves. Every tree is pruned, every flower is planted. We start most of our flowers indoors from seed. We're pretty much fanatics about the landscaping at the winery. So, and at the farm in general. What happened is I went out in the front yard and realized that something was starting to eat the branches of my maple tree. And I took a piece of this broken branch to the forester out in Georgetown, and his name's Tim. And I said, Tim, I don't know what's going on here. Do you have any idea what this might be? And he looked at this branch and he said, Bill, I've never seen anything like that before. He said, but let me take some pictures. I'll send the pictures off to Columbus. We'll see if we can't let them figure out what it is. So they did. He did exactly that, took some pictures. The next morning he said, he called to warn me. He said, the folks are coming down from Columbus. And I said, oh, you need me to come out there and talk to them? And he said, no, they're coming to your farm. As it turned out, what this was an invasive species of beetle that had come here from China. Thus the Asian longhorn beetle. Very, very destructive. First time ever discovered in the state of Ohio. Probably 2 days later, on a Tuesday, there were maybe a dozen black SUVs in my driveway as well. It looked like an FBI raid. Not only that, but they brought trucks with chipper shredders. They brought both state and federal climbers. And when they finally determined that it was indeed the Asian longhorn beetle that had nested in my front yard in my trees, they cut those trees down immediately. And I can remember standing in the front yard and seeing those trees hit the ground, and they no sooner hit the ground than the Asian longhorn beetles are flying around, and all of these climbers are running around my front yard trying to grab them out of the air. That summer, we learned a lot. That was in June of 2011. That summer, my wife and I learned a lot about a lot of things, but a lot about how the government works. It wasn't very encouraging. What ended up happening for that whole summer, we routinely made announcements at the winery. We handed out brochures at every set break in the musical set breaks. I would go up on stage and I would make a little announcement about the Asian longhorn beetle. And we were trying to encourage people to check their own trees, that we had to get this thing under control. The plan from the USDA at the time was to go ahead and cut down all the infested trees. Any tree that was discovered to have Asian longhorn beetles in it, they were going to cut it down. And we were fine with that. And so we cooperated. I actually have a placard at home on my wall, big placard from the USDA for my participation in that whole effort to get rid of the Asian longhorn beetle. Then all of a sudden they came around in November, the USDA did, and decided that the safest thing to do would be to what's called a full host removal. Now, the thing that's different about the Asian longhorn beetle is that it, unlike the emerald ash borer that only attacks the ash tree, the Asian longhorn beetle attacks 15 different genera of trees. So it's I'll just see if I can't remember most of them: ash, elm, poplar, buckeye, willow, maple, katsura, tree of heaven. To make a long story short, it was most of the trees in our area here. So by full host removal, what they were planning to do was to come in and cut those down, whether they were infested or not. So they're gonna eliminate the food source for the Asian longhorn beetle. That would have amounted to about 1.2 million trees destroyed in my little neighborhood, in our little 5 mile by 5 mile square of Claremont County that makes up part of Tate Township. When we heard that, we went a little bit off the deep end. I have to admit, all of a sudden we started pulling a team together. My neighbors and I, we went door to door. We had meetings at the winery. We wanted people to be aware that what they had planned to do, or what they had told us they had planned to do, was essentially a falsehood from the very beginning, that they had no intentions of only cutting down the infested trees. And instead their plan for the entire onslaught against the beetle was to do full host removal. As it stands now, my farm alone has lost, let's see, 1,500 trees. But we have farms out there that have been completely devastated. Some of those areas in my small neighborhood now look like the strip mines that you used to see in West Virginia. They've just come in and they've absolutely clear cut these fields of any trees. Now, the thing that made us so angry over all of this is the fact that they have the ability to treat this beetle chemically. They can do hydraulic trunk injections. They discovered a little infestation down in Stone Lake Township. Rather than cutting down the healthy, uninfested trees, they went in there, they cut down the few trees that were infested, and then they went ahead and did hydraulic trunk injections to the rest of the trees. That beetle has been eradicated in that area, but it is a snapshot of what they could have done out here and decided not to do. As it stands right now, the latest I checked, they have taken down 113,000 trees in this small area. Now it's a far cry from the 1.2 million that they were planning to do originally. But the only reason that number is down so low is because my group got together. We hired attorneys from Dinsmore and Scholl in Cincinnati, which is a really big, fancy law firm in Cincinnati. We took all of those people that are in Bethel that surround my farm are not real. I mean, it's not Anderson Township. It's not Hyde Park. I mean, these are people that struggle from day to day. Yet within 4 days, we had amassed $5,500, 5,000 of which went to retain the attorneys. People knew the importance of what we were trying to do. So we, through the attorneys, through their environmental attorney, forced the government, I think that's ever been done, forced the government to change their plans. And instead of doing full host removal, they gave the property owners, we fought to have the property owners have the right to be able to say whether or not they wanted all of their trees, all of their host species trees cut down, or just the infested trees. You have no choice. If a tree is infested with an Asian longhorn beetle, even if there's one mandible mark on a 34 or 38 inch maple, if there's one mandible mark discovered on that tree, they consider that tree infested and they will cut that tree down. You have no choice. The government will stand. In fact, there are still court cases going on now in our small area of Clermont County where people are saying, you know, you destroyed my property. We warned you about the septic system and not running your heavy equipment over it. You ignored all that. You ran the heavy equipment over it. I've incurred enormous amounts of loss because of what you have done. And we still have cases that are being fought in court. So that's the whole gig on the Asian longhorn beetle. My recommendation to you would be this. And I mean, if you all, the majority of you are from this area, Batavia, are you all from Batavia? No. Stone Lake?
Yeah, Union Township.
Union Township. So, you know, now this is in Williamsburg Township, in Williamsburg Township. It is in Batavia Township, wasn't Stone Lake Township until recently, is in Monroe Township. So my recommendation would be, there are some cards up here from my organization, and sorry, Zoomers. If you get a chance before you leave, please go ahead and take one of these if you have any interest in learning what your rights are as a property owner when the government comes on your property and tries to take all your trees. That was 2011. It's now 10 years later. Now, we've been forced to close down the website that we used to maintain, but the Facebook pages are still active. So if you go on Facebook and you type in Bethel Asian Longhorn Beetle Citizens Cooperative, you'll get the most up-to-date information as far as the Asian Longhorn Beetle is concerned. Yes, sir. Please.
How did they find their way to your place?
There is a farm manufacturing place on State Route 232 just outside of Bethel called Taylor's. I don't know if any of you are familiar with Taylor's Manufacturing. It's about the size, the building is about the size of this new building that they just put in down the road. It's now EMS or whatever that is down there. It's about that size. And what this company would do is they would import unassembled Chinese tractors, Hyundai or something like that. And then they would come in unassembled in giant crates with packing material of poplar that was big, giant 12 by 12 or 8 by 8 poplar wood pieces to hold this stuff in, hold these parts in place. Then they would assemble them here and sell them here. Then when they assembled them, they would take all of this Chinese poplar and they would throw all this Chinese poplar in the back of the plant and just keep throwing it and throwing it, stacking it up. I talked to some of the guys that worked there that said that thing could be 2 stories high before they decided to burn it. So what was happening during that period of time that the poplar was there and not being burned, these things, these beetles, what they do is they essentially burrow into the heartwood of the tree and they pupate while they're in the heartwood. So these beetles came into this country in as packing material. They started families right there at that manufacturing place, which is just behind my vineyard. I mean, it's probably not 400, 500 yards from the back of my vineyard. And then we're downwind of that. So these, as they went through their life cycles and they came out of these pieces of poplar as flying insects, kind of like a grasshopper would be, then they got caught up in the wind and so.
So does the federal government, knowing this is more than likely, local government as far as state law, has there been any restrictions put on how machinery and stuff like that should be packed and brought into the United States?
Yeah, there has been changes made. There have been changes made in the last 15 years. The pallets now that they use for transporting the stuff have to be all heat treated. They're getting it a little bit more under control, but you still have to remember that now, like the lanternfly that is here now is another Chinese invasive. The emerald ash borer is a Chinese invasive. The Asian longhorn beetle, of course. They have an infestation up in somewhere in New England of a new beetle of some kind or moth that is another import from China. So it's a serious problem. And the bad thing was right after 9/11, they pulled they pulled the majority of those people that were at the ports doing port security. Part of their job was to go through and look at all of these different pallets and shipping containers and inspect all this material. They pulled all of them in order to, use them for nationwide security as opposed to just so.
Time for one more question.
Oh, no, it wasn't a question. It's just gonna be a comment. I used to work for Procter & Gamble, and we would have to fumigate all the coffee beans that came into the United States specifically to kill that, exactly the same reason. But from my past knowledge, you only fumigate things that have crops in them. You don't fumigate things that have machinery, and you don't fumigate the crates and things like that. So I can easily see why that would have happened.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You can, very easily see how that could happen. Sure. Yeah.
Oh, I do have a question though.
You said it still goes on somewhat now. They still discover the bad thing is in China, the poplar tree, which is the preferred diet of this Asian longhorn beetle. They had their issues over there. I mean, they wiped out hundreds of thousands of acres of poplar trees because the damn beetle got started over there, started to do the same thing that it's trying to do here. And like I said, now this since 2011, so they've been doing this for 10 years. Any of you that are familiar with the old EPA, not the EPA, but the where you used to get your car checked in Bethel, in behind the school there on 232, the E-check station at 232. That's now an enormous complex that houses both the USDA and the ODA, as well as researchers from other universities and stuff like that. Penn State is represented up there. They're essentially, they've taken over this whole building. So there's about 80 or 90 cars in that parking lot at any given morning. Wow. So, I mean, it's turned into quite the work program for the government. So anyways, thank you all so much. I hope I didn't, I hope I didn't take too much of your time. I am going to leave these here just because you may want to take those. And like I said, we can.
Bill, we want to thank you for coming. Obviously, you don't come and leave empty-handed. You've got a very highly coveted Rotary mug that you can use for your coffee, hopefully.
Thank you.
I just like to make a comment. Bill is a great example of what we as Rotarians like to hear. We like to hear small business people that are self-made individuals come, and what's really fascinating to me is that the impact that you've made on our country. I mean, I have a friend whose son-in-law works for the Department of Interior. He was just down in North Carolina managing the longhorn beetle down there, using the techniques that you and your neighbors have brought about through your initiative and I guess deep pockets. I don't know how you stood up to the U.S. government and did this. I'm sure there's another story.
It's a whole other story.
My hat's off to you. I think you're just an example of what America stands for, what we like to hear as Rotarians, and we really, our hats off to you.
I think part of the reason why we were able to continue with with our fight was that the Dinsmore and Scholl attorneys out of Cincinnati, I think they kind of felt bad. They realized the plight that we were in. They realized that, you know, this is a pretty economically depressed area. And it was kind of like when the government does, where they take over neighborhoods and say, well, we're going to blight this so that we can build a whatever in this neighborhood. I mean, it was kind of that same, you know, that same feel. And so a lot of the work that they did was pro bono.
Great.
Yeah, a lot of the work that they did is pro bono. And they're still engaged. God bless you. They're still engaged. So now there's another, Strauss Troy is the one now that's handling most of the cases for the Asian longhorn beetle around us. But yeah, you have rights as a property owner. Just remember that. Don't let them come in and say you don't have the right to. Believe me, you have the rights to tell them, no, you're not going to do this. You're not cutting all my trees down. So anyways.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you
so much.
Thank you, guys.
Okay. All right. And good luck to your wife tomorrow with her surgery, Bill. Okay.
Yeah, we're a little nervous, but she'll be fine, I'm sure. Can I take this down?
Absolutely. Yeah, sure. Okay. Thank you. All right. Thank you all for your attention. I think that's, you know, obviously we're going to be at Bill's Winery on the 21st, Saturday, meeting out there about 5:30. It goes until 9, and the time flies with good company and good wine, great wine and music. It'll be really a lot of fun. We'll get on with the meat of our meeting here after our interesting speaker here. Wedding anniversaries. Peter, today, you and Jean, right?
Yes, indeed.
All right. How many years?
58.
Okay.
30 of the happiest years of my life.
And for Jean?
The other 28 were the happiest of hers.
Birthdays. We got Harry and we got Lynn. So Harry was the 1st of August, Lynn the 9th of August. Is that right?
Actually, mine is actually the 19th.
The 19th. Okay. I'm sorry. I misread here. I got to get mine.
No, I actually didn't say that.
Okay.
10 days younger.
Yeah, don't let them cheat you.
What I'd like to do, of course, and I didn't warn Peter on this. Peter, you don't need to go to the mic. I think your voice is loud enough, unless you want to get up, or we can bring the mic over to you. Would you mind serenading these gentlemen for us?
A couple of birthday folk.
Yes, sir. We got Harry. I think Harry's on here, and we got there he is. All right, and Lynn. So.
You still want to sing with me? I mean, mine's on the 19th. That's where they
belong. Well, Peter's going to sing.
Actually, mine is the 19th.
Yeah, we'll do you next. Okay.
Oh, fine, that's fine, thank you. Oh, thank you.
Thank you for all the information.
Where are our birthday folk?
Well, actually, it's just going to be Harry.
Harry's on the big screen.
Harry's over there, huh? Well,
Harry's on the screen.
all right, don't mute this, Harry. And so it's your birthday, or so we've been told. And though you seem ageless, you're another year old. On a cake there'll be candles all lighted for you. And everybody is singing, happy birthday to you.
Hey, Harry, that was a $10 birthday song, buddy.
All right. Very nice. Member Rotary anniversaries. Linda Fraley is not here right now, but her Rotary anniversary was in August. A few other items. The Union Township concert series was a great success. If evidence of that would be Jeff Birch being here, potential new member. We've got Bob Henry here coming to collect his money, but we think he might become a potential member too, hopefully. We'd really like to have both of you in the club here. And because we're about service and we're about having fun together. And I think you see that right here. So we welcome both of you. That was a real successful engagement for the Rotary Club. I think it got the word out there. The golf outing is coming up. That's our major fundraiser that we have. We raise in the neighborhood of $14,000, somewhere around there, average per year. That's going to be September 15th. I'm going to let Tony maybe give us just a little update. Would you like to do that, Tony? Well, he's coming to the stand. Just a couple of things that are going to be different about the outing this year, which is kind of fun. Robin Hakes just texted me. She can't be here. our Rotary tent out there is going to have a Bloody Mary stand, okay? And so when people show up, they're going to be getting Bloody Marys, okay, which is really fun. They'll be playing great golf after that. And Shane, through Mercy Hospital, they're going to have a massage and physical therapy station there to show people how to stretch and get prepared for the game. That's going to be right there when people get to the outing. So I think that's going to make us a little bit distinct from other outings going on. But I'll let Tony talk here a little bit about what's going on.
Well, you just stole all my thunder. I was going to tell him about all the good stuff for him.
You didn't even know about this.
That's all right. No, as Alan said, September 15th, it's a Wednesday, early shotgun start. We've gotten off to a good start, but a little bit of a slow start. We're under 2 months away. And hopefully everybody can open the link, the spreadsheet. I think Brandon has made available to everybody. I've seen a little bit of activity on there, but about a week ago, we reorganized that just a little bit. And unfortunately, we've got some key members that have been a part of past golf outings and aren't with us anymore. Sheila and Jennifer being the biggest. So that's a lot of work to make up. They did a lot of work for us. So what we did was we basically assigned different contacts that in the past either brought foursomes, did whole sponsors, donated whole sponsors, or donated raffle items. And if you look on that spreadsheet to the far left, there have been different Rotary members that have been assigned to make contacts with these people. That's the main thing that we need everybody to do over the next 6 weeks is reach out to that contact, try to bring some golfers to the golf outing. Whole sponsors are the big money makers, $250 a pop, and a raffle prize of some sort. Anything that these companies can give us. If they happen to, I reached out to the American Legion, then they sent me a check directly for a whole sponsor. If they do that with you, these people that reach out to you, make sure that you get those to Brandon directly, any money that you collect. But what we really want to encourage you to tell these people, companies that are bringing foursomes, is to register online on the link that we have. And everybody should have access to that. We finalized the brochure after redoing it several times. Yeah, Brandon did a lot of work on that. We're trying to weed Brandon out, but we're still leaning on him. So everybody should have that letter to give to businesses, the brochure. And again, we really want to encourage them to register online. So between now and the outing, we'll finalize some things of where we need Rotarians to help us on the day of the outing. But right now, big push for golfers, whole sponsors, raffle prizes. And again, I got on there this morning. Not a lot of movement so far. The ones that have reached out to people and collected things, we really appreciate it. I know this all comes together at the last minute, but we're getting a late start this year. So please, everybody do your part. It's definitely a group effort to make this successful. So that's all I got. Yep.
Thank you so much.
Oh, one other plug. This Thursday, our police department is having our annual police night out, 6 to 9 at Veterans Park. It's a great night. Everything's free, food, drinks, fun for your kids or grandkids. So if you have some time, stop by Veterans Park.
Did I hear free?
Free. Free's for me.
Helicopter.
Are you going to do the K9 demonstration?
Oh, cool. Oh, neat.
Chaos and havoc. That's great.
And that's otherwise known as Helicopter Park, right, Tony? Yeah.
Air Care will be landing there as well. So
Oh, cool. Oh, I'll be there for sure. Got it on my calendar. All right.
It's actually Union Township Veterans Park.
Okay.
At the intersection of Glenn and Clough.
Okay. Or Helicopter Park, right? I mean, where the helicopter is there. Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
right next to the huge water tower. Yep, right next
to Yes.
the fire department. Yes.
The sheriff is hosting, is it tonight?
Yeah, most nights, most national nights out are tonight, but ours is Thursday.
Okay, great. Okay, we're going to have a Rotary minute here. It's about a minute and a half. And so Brandon's going to show a little clip here, and then that'll lead into our next topic, and we'll just keep moving here. So.
A single act of good can go a long way. It can cross oceans, cure disease, and create equality. As members of Rotary, we are people of action, and our actions have the power to speak loud and clear. Our vision and commitment to finding solutions keeps us connected to those who need it most, changing lives and creating opportunities with our groundbreaking work in education and literacy. There are more kids enrolled in school now than at any other point in human history, which is why supporting teachers is key. In classrooms, our innovative approach creates critical thinkers and big dreamers with the skills to achieve. Our global grants train teachers to use materials, new methods, and technology to inspire and energize students of all ages. We believe education has the power to lift families up, make real change, modify behavior, create healthy habits, and open minds. We believe that education creates security and safety in families so they can support, provide, and make informed, empowered decisions. Your contribution keeps students far and wide connected to a world of good. Every donation is an action that speaks volumes across classrooms, communities, and continents. Because the distance between an act of good and the lives it touches isn't as vast as you might imagine. Learn how you can support the cause that means the most to you.
So that theme is obviously education. And what we as a Rotary Club have done in the past is we have provided dictionaries and thesauruses to school children, to both Batavia and C&E school districts. What we're going to be doing going forward, and we just got a grant for this, is, did you have something?
Don't forget the Constitution
And Constitution, Declaration of Independence. Okay, yeah, but we're in education. We support education, and we think that's very important. Supporting our children, just for Bob and Jeff's advantage here. We also support kids through what we call Student of the Month. So starting in September, we're going to start having one kid from each high school, C&E and Batavia, come here, and we actually present them with awards for service, not for academics necessarily, but for the service that they do in their schools and their communities. And we like to promote that. Now, just going forward, what we're going to be doing this year, I've already talked to, and Jennifer was very nice to coordinate this. One of our Rotary clubs in Fairborn, they came up with a book called The Apple Dumpling Adventure, okay? We're going to provide these books, or at least read these books, to children of appropriate age at these schools. We're going to do this as Rotarians. So this will come up as a sign up for us in September during Literacy Month, okay? And what it has to do with, it has a interesting story here, with pictures, obviously, for the kids that are going to integrate the theme of the four-way test, okay? Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build up goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? And we're going to integrate that into this presentation that we do with the kids. It's going to be interactive. We're going to encourage their parents to be there also, okay? So I think this is going to be a great method for us to show that we're promoting education and wholesome values to the kids in our community. So that's coming up in September. I just wanted to give you a preview of that, okay? So we'll be talking about that more in the next few weeks, and you'll see it on the website. Going forward, there's a couple of just items here. Mary Jane was going to talk about dues just real quick.
I have 11 members that have not paid their dues. Dues was due on July 1st. Your dues is $600. 200 of that goes into the foundation for scholarships and for outreach. So your dues is $600, not $400, but you have the means to get back the 200 if you sell dinner tickets and raffle tickets. But dues is $600 going forward. And I will be calling if I don't have your dues within the next week, because we've already had to pay Rotary International. And if I can't persuade you to get your dues in, I have a friend that has a taser and a gun.
At least you said taser first.
Well, yeah.
And he knows which one.
First is bourbon, taser, and then a gun.
It'll be a lot easier having Tony do it than having her.
Yeah, no doubt.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Mary Jane.
Everybody always pays their dues, but I just need to give you a little pride.
Here we go. All right. Okay, Vic also had an announcement.
Okay. I'd like to invite you to the beginning of our new recording season for Beyond Today Television. It's the location of the studio. The location of the studio is where we have the Farmers for Families food drive, and this is 555 Techno Center Drive at Park 50. So we'd like to invite you to our live studio audience. It's at 2:15 tomorrow afternoon. There'll be two programs recorded there on Beyond Today Television. The two programs are about, the first one is about the war against religion and faith. And the second one is about the culture war in our country, the relentless battle against the mind. So there'll be very interesting programs. Each one is 28.5 minutes long. You can leave after the break between them. There'll be refreshments afterwards. We've had one Rotary Club meeting at our home office, but I'd like you to also see our new studio. It's been up for now for a little over a year, and to see these two programs recorded. But we'd like to have you part of our studio audience, and I invite our whole Rotary Club to come. Brandon has been there, and others also have been there, and I would just love to have you come and be our guests. There'll be refreshments afterwards. It starts at 2:30, but please be there in your seats by 2:15 at 555 Techno Center Drive, up there on the hill at Park Center, the highest building in Park 50.
Thank you, Bill. One other item, Peter has taken on the project of updating our president's board for the Rotary, which we think is out front here. But at any rate, the appeal that we have there is if anybody is a woodworker, has woodworking tools or whatever, we might need to add on to that plaque, or we might need to acquire another plaque. I don't know if Don Rigling would know something about that. I know you're into plaques and trophies and things of that nature. Maybe Don and Peter could match up, and you could talk about that. Does that sound possible, Don? You're muted. Muted, Don. There you go.
How's that?
Yeah, there you go. Gotcha.
I can do that.
That would be great, Peter. If you just match up with him, that'd be good. So.
For years, I've been doing that, and a lady in Bethel was doing the engraving of the brass plaques. I'm not sure if she's still doing that. Do we know anybody? Does anybody know anybody, or maybe it's the sports company, trophy companies or whatever, who does that kind of engraving? Because we need to put a few more names on some of those little plaques. If anybody knows somebody with that kind of engraving operation,
Red Dot in Indiana, Clinton County can do it. They're pricey, but they'll do it. I'd be happy to take it up there and do it together.
Great. Okay.
They're pricey, but
good.
Hey, we got the money to pay dues.
Mary Jane, did you have something else you wanted to?
Yeah, Don Ringland, you didn't get your dues notice because I got it back in the mail. I didn't put postage on it. So you're exempt from my sending attorney out.
Free for a year.
Yeah, it's my fault. So I'll send this in the mail today.
Okay. Just as a reminder, for the next couple of meetings, or August 17th, we're going to have Adam Bird here. I'd like to see a good showing for that. One of our state representatives. That should be very interesting. The meeting after that, of course, we'll remind you, is not going to be here. It's going to be over at Empower Youth, over in Amelia. So we'll get the address out and let everybody know about that. We're going to be packing lunch boxes for kids. So children that don't have enough to eat. And so that's going to be a very interesting get together. Matt, that'll be on August 31st. August 31st. That'll be that's going to be our fifth Tuesday of the month. We have 4 quarters, and this will be the 5th Tuesday of the month. Yeah, go ahead, Mac.
And just a comment for our visitors, you are a Rotary Club that's one of over 35,000 Rotary clubs around the world in over 200 countries, territories, possessions. It's an honor to be a Rotarian. Peter Weigland, right here, myself, are past district governors of Rotary. And I wanted to say hi to Bill Shula, who's also a Claremont County guy from Bethel, who is also a past district governor. Welcome, Bill.
Yeah, the other thing about Bill is actually coming to the winery with us, as is Carol Hughes, who is our district governor. So that's really neat.
Bill will never pass up wine.
Especially if it's free, I'm sure. Okay, so we're going to move to money, exchange of money here. Bob, Henry, I'd like to present you with this $50 gift card here, because you were the lucky winner at the Olive Garden. We appreciate you coming.
Thank you.
And we hope to see you again, okay?
Appreciate it.
I'll
Thank
keep
you.
you on the email list and
Okay.
give you some reminders, okay? So,
Thank you.
all right, thank you for coming. Yeah, very good. Anybody have a joke just on the tip of their tongue?
We got Lynn.
Okay, I guess that suffices as a joke. Lynn, you got a joke?
Well, no, but I would like to be the first one to put money in.
Yeah, let's do it. This is what we call,
Well,
happy bucks.
I am so glad, one of our members, it was mentioned earlier this morning, decided to overwork herself yesterday at some kind of an outing and literally had somewhat of a heat stroke. This woman right here. So we're just glad that she's totally recovered.
When I was laying there, I'm thinking, dear Lord, this is my first real week of retirement and I'm gonna die. But guess what, Brandon, I didn't.
The Lord said,
Lord said I'm not ready for
The Lord says, no, you
This
stay
is
down.
feedback. I am thrilled at that to see some of your lovely faces. I don't want to hear what you got to say, but I'm glad to see it.
And the Lord said, I'm not through with you yet.
The Lord said I don't have your room.
You're not gonna overheat with those shorts on, you're showing off your legs and
No, but Tony might.
We have no more Tony
Sorry,
references
Tony.
today.
Oh,
Gee, we don't need Tony from you, Jeff.
Tell that on Facebook.
What are you happy about, Jeff?
Enjoying life. This is a very nice presentation.
Glad to have you.
Glad to have you.
Yeah. Tony?
I've got a proud dad moment here. I'm going to brag about my son Kyle, who you all were good enough to vote for about a month ago for Player of the Week, which I appreciate everybody's support. His volleyball team went out to, where'd we go? Kansas City, I'm sorry, and took second nationally. They lost to a team from Phoenix. And I was so proud of him. He did a great job, so thank you.
Well, other than the obvious wedding anniversary, one of our granddaughters has become a freshman in high school, not around here, unfortunately, but she made the varsity track team as a freshman. Wow. I'm told this is something of an accomplishment. And she has done that, so hallelujah.
Is that Kendra?
There's Kendra.
Wow.
There's Kendra, yes. And as I say, I'm hoping that Jean will be awake when I get back home, so we can wish her a happy anniversary.
I'll wake her up, probably happy anniversary enough.
Yeah.
Noah and I just completed a great vacation. We also learned some new skills. I found out that all the hotels we stayed at, except in Ohio, cannot hire people to do housekeeping. So if you want soaps, if you want towels, even if they're not supplied when you check in, which they weren't in one case, you have to do it yourself. You have to bring your trash down daily. I don't know if this is a national trend, but both of them in a national chain said that we can't hire people. They can only clean the room when you check out and then you're on your own. That's kind of surprised me, but we made it. We now have some new skills.
Some more happy moments. For our two guests today, thank you for coming. And had a nice time with Lynn and Mike Chapman at the last concert series this past Saturday. So it was it was nice. We did have some people stop by. This one lady wanted to know if we allow women. And didn't know if it was a friend of Tony's or a plan or something, but we said, sure, of course. And she didn't sign up, but yeah, she asked us twice.
Didn't believe you the first time.
Women have been welcome in Rotary for about 30 years.
1984.
Yeah.
I have a cartoon about it.
And is that when you joined, Mary Jane? Did you join in '84?
Says, did you know that women that join Rotary Club now? What do they do at Rotary, sir? I think they have lunch and insult each other. We'll fit right in. That's why I told people I want to fit in with you.
But it was a good time, great concert. There was a nice crowd there and a beautiful evening.
Just happy you're there. Great program.
And I'm happy to have our two guests here. Obviously, you got Bob and Jeff. And speaking of guests, Jeff has volunteered, I volunteered him, to draw a card for Split the Pot. So any card in there, but just the winner, okay? Very well.
Right here. 5 of clubs.
5 of clubs. Anybody?
That's a spade.
Let's try it, man.
We stay out of 5.
Anybody 5 of clubs? Okay.
Okay,
Hot
$15, we'll go forward.
All right, it rolls over. Okay, we're going to finish up the meeting here. We already know about the next couple of meetings on the 17th and on the 31st. We'll give you some reminders about that. And we have an executive meeting or a board meeting after this, so we'll get those folks to stay around. We'll just finish up the meeting with the Rotary, okay, Michael?
Just real quick.
Yeah.
Student of the month. So
Yes.
For September, the first Tuesday?
Okay,
I mean, is that when?
that'd be fine. Yeah, first of the first meeting of the month is when we normally do that. That's correct. You think we'll have somebody by then?
Oh, that's not the issue. I just
Okay.
wanted I need to know the date.
Yeah.
So that we can provide that information.
September 7, yes, that's right.
So right after Labor
Yes,
Day. Okay,
right.
great,
Yeah,
great.
yeah. So we'll put that on the calendar. Good. All right, get your singing pipes ready here. This is our little song that we'll do, and then we'll do the four-way test, and we'll be done. And this is to This Land Is Your Land, okay? Da, 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 da. So we can stand up and sing that? Okay. This club is your club. This club is my club. From all the officers to every member, and through our membership, we serve society. This club is served by you and me. And from our membership comes worthy enterprise, and through our fellowship, we serve all people, from personal friendship to community service. This club is served by you and me. This club is your club. This club is my club. From brand new members to the grand old timers. And through our membership, we serve society. This club is served by you and me. All right. Okay, if we turn around, we'll do the four-way test. The four-way test of the things we think, say, or do. First, is it the truth? Second, is it fair to all concerned? Third, will it build goodwill and better friendships? Fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned?